Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever noticed that the most influential and respected people in any room are not always the loudest? They don't demand attention, they command it. Not with words, but with presence, with composure, with actions that speak louder than speech. In a world where everyone is eager to be heard, those who master silence hold the greatest power. The way you carry yourself, the way you respond or don't, has a profound effect on how people perceive and value you. Today, I want to share 7 silent actions that, when mastered, will make you not only respected, but truly valued. Because, believe it or not, it's often what you don't say that makes the biggest impact. Master the art of stillness. In a world that never stops talking, the rarest and most powerful presence is that of a person who knows how to be still. True confidence doesn't come from constantly proving yourself, explaining your worth, or filling silence with unnecessary words. It comes from being so sure of yourself that you don't need to do any of those things. Think of the most captivating individuals you've ever encountered. They are not the ones who rush to speak or react impulsively. They move with intention. They observe more than they reveal, and they make people feel their presence without forcing it. That is the power of stillness. When you master the art of stillness, you shift the energy in any room you enter. People sense that you are not easily shaken, not desperate for validation, and not controlled by the chaos around you. This creates an aura of mystery, one that draws others in, making them value your presence even more. Stillness is not just about being physically quiet, it's about emotional and mental composure. It means not overreacting when provoked, not rushing to fill uncomfortable silences, and not feeling the need to constantly explain yourself. It's about knowing when to speak and when to let silence do the work for you. The truth is, people respect those who are comfortable in their own skin, those who don't feel the need to always be seen or heard to prove their worth. Stillness is a quiet kind of power, but make no mistake, it is one of the most commanding forces you can possess. The power of pausing before responding. In a world obsessed with quick comebacks and instant reactions, the ability to pause before responding is a rare and powerful skill. Most people speak as soon as they get the chance, filling every silence with words, sometimes without even thinking. But those who understand the power of restraint know that a well-timed pause is more impactful than a rushed reply. Why does pausing before speaking matter so much? Because it shows control. It tells the world that you are not governed by impulse, that you weigh your words carefully, and that you do not speak just for the sake of being heard. In conversations, a brief moment of silence before responding makes others pay closer attention. It forces them to wonder what you are thinking, making your words carry more weight when you finally do speak. There is also a psychological aspect to this. When you pause before responding, you give yourself time to process what's being said. Instead of reacting emotionally or saying something you might later regret, you allow yourself the space to craft a response that is measured, thoughtful, and intentional. This small habit sets you apart as someone who is deliberate and in control, qualities that naturally command respect. Have you ever noticed how the most respected leaders and thinkers rarely rush to answer a question? They take a moment, sometimes even a deep breath before they speak. This is not because they don't know what to say, it's because they understand the power of making people wait for their response. That slight hesitation builds anticipation, making their words seem even more important. Pausing before responding also helps you avoid being drawn into unnecessary arguments or emotional conflicts. How many times have people said something in the heat of the moment, only to regret it later? A simple pause can prevent you from falling into that trap. It gives you time to decide whether the conversation is even worth engaging in, or whether silence would be the more powerful response. Beyond conversations, this habit extends to all areas of life. In negotiations, the ability to pause before answering a question makes you seem more confident and in control. In relationships, it prevents misunderstandings and unnecessary conflicts. In leadership, it makes people trust your judgment because they see you as someone who thinks before they act. Mastering the power of pausing doesn't mean you should hesitate out of fear or uncertainty. It means you are secure enough to take your time, to let your words be intentional, and to ensure that when you speak, people listen. Because in the end, the person who controls the pace of a conversation often controls the outcome. Subtle expressions over words. In a world where people rely on words to express themselves, those who master the art of subtle expressions hold an unspoken power. Facial expressions, body language, and even a well-timed glance can communicate far more than spoken words ever could. The ability to influence, attract, and command respect without saying much is a skill that few develop, but those who do are remembered, valued, and often admired. Think about the most charismatic and respected individuals you know. Are they the ones who talk endlessly, or are they the ones whose very presence speaks before they do? Often it is their unspoken cues, the way they hold eye contact, the way they smile slightly but not too eagerly, the way they nod with just the right amount of acknowledgement, that make them unforgettable. One of the most powerful silent actions is maintaining composed facial expressions. When you do not react instantly with exaggerated emotions, people see you as someone who is in control. If someone tries to provoke you, and instead of reacting, you simply raise an eyebrow or give a calm, knowing smile, it completely shifts the dynamic. The person trying to get a reaction from you suddenly realizes they hold no power over your emotions. This subtle but effective move increases your value in their eyes because it shows that you are emotionally untouchable. Another key aspect of subtle expressions is eye contact. Eye contact is one of the most powerful tools of nonverbal communication. A strong, steady gaze conveys confidence, while avoiding eye contact suggests insecurity. However, the true mastery lies in how you use it. Holding eye contact just long enough to show confidence, but not so long that it becomes aggressive, creates an air of intrigue. Looking away at the right moment can make you appear thoughtful, controlled, and mysterious. This balance makes people want to understand you more, making them naturally value your presence. A well-timed smile or smirk is another game changer. Smiling too often or too widely can sometimes be perceived as insecurity or an attempt to please others. But a slow, subtle smile at just the right moment, especially when someone expects a reaction from you, can leave a lasting impression. It suggests that you are in control of the situation, that you understand something others don't, and that you don't need to react to prove your point. Even the way you tilt your head slightly while listening can make a huge difference. It shows engagement without eagerness. It signals that you are processing what is being said without feeling the need to interject. People are naturally drawn to those who make them feel heard, and this simple action makes others want to speak to you more, increasing your value in their perception. Then there's the power of posture. The way you sit, stand, or walk into a room sends a message before you even say a word. Someone who walks with slow, deliberate movements exudes confidence. Someone who takes their time sitting down rather than rushing appears more self-assured. Keeping your shoulders back, chin slightly raised, and movements controlled tells the world that you are comfortable in your own skin. This silent confidence attracts respect and admiration effortlessly. Subtle expressions are also powerful in relationships and social dynamics. Imagine two people in a discussion. One is talking endlessly, trying to prove a point. The other simply listens, makes thoughtful expressions, and responds with a single knowing look. Who do you think holds more power in that situation? The one who doesn't need to over-explain because their mere presence speaks for them. Mastering subtle expressions means understanding that sometimes silence combined with the right look, the right pause, and the right body language says far more than words ever could. It creates mystery, enhances confidence, and ensures that when you do finally speak, people are ready to listen. People value those who don't give away too much too easily. By learning to communicate with subtle expressions rather than excessive words, you create an aura of depth, intrigue, and quiet power that draws people toward you, making them appreciate your presence more than you could ever imagine. Walking away without drama. There is an undeniable power in knowing when to walk away, without anger, without explanation, and most importantly, without drama. Many people stay in situations that no longer serve them because they feel the need to explain themselves, prove a point, or seek closure. But those who understand their worth know that real strength is in silently removing themselves from anything or anyone that no longer aligns with their peace, dignity, or growth. Walking away is not about weakness, it is about self-respect. The world teaches us to fight for things, to argue our case, and to make people understand us. But the truth is, not everyone deserves access to your energy. Some situations do not need your reaction, and some people are not entitled to your explanations. The moment you learn to detach yourself from unnecessary conflicts and leave situations without the need for validation, you become someone who is truly valued and respected. Have you ever noticed that the people who beg for attention, constantly argue, or insist on having the last word are often the ones taken the least seriously? That is because desperation for validation weakens a person's presence. On the other hand, those who know when to walk away with grace create an aura of self-sufficiency. They are not bound by the need to prove anything, and that makes others admire them even more. Walking away silently from an argument or a toxic situation confuses people. When someone expects you to react, to explain yourself, or to fight back, and instead you simply leave with quiet confidence, it unsettles them. It forces them to reflect on their own behavior. It makes them wonder what you know that they don't. More often than not, they end up respecting you more because you didn't lower yourself to unnecessary emotional battles. This applies to all aspects of life: relationships, friendships, workplaces, and even social situations. Imagine someone insulting you, expecting you to get defensive or angry. But instead of engaging, you simply look at them with indifference, turn around and walk away. That moment is far more powerful than any comeback you could have given them. It leaves them powerless because they realize they cannot control your emotions. Walking away also means valuing your own peace over unnecessary engagement. There will always be people who try to provoke you, situations that challenge your patience, and environments that drain your energy. The difference between those who are respected and those who are not is knowing when to stay and when to leave without making a spectacle of it. True confidence is not in proving yourself, it is in knowing you don't need to. A person who walks away without making a scene is someone who understands that their energy is precious. They are selective about where they invest their emotions, and that selectiveness makes them more valuable. But let's be clear. Walking away without drama does not mean running away from challenges or avoiding difficult conversations when necessary. It means recognizing the difference between what deserves your time and what doesn't. It means having the wisdom to know that not every battle is worth fighting, and not every person is worth explaining yourself to. In relationships, this principle is even more powerful. Nothing unsettles a person more than someone who refuses to beg for their attention or prove their worth. When you walk away from disrespect without seeking closure, you communicate one thing loud and clear: I know my value, and I will not waste time convincing you of it. This kind of silent confidence is unforgettable. The world belongs to those who move with purpose, who don't chase after people or situations that no longer serve them, and who know that walking away is sometimes the strongest response of all. When you learn to leave without drama, without over-explaining, and without looking back, you become someone that people respect, admire, and most importantly, value. Becoming unpredictable. There is a hidden power in unpredictability, one that commands respect, intrigue, and even admiration. People tend to take for granted what they can predict, what they fully understand, and what they believe they have figured out. But when you become someone who cannot be easily anticipated, you instantly become more valuable in the eyes of others. Think about the people who leave the strongest impressions on you. Are they the ones who do exactly what you expect, or are they the ones who keep you guessing? The truth is, predictability breeds complacency. If people always know how you will react, what you will say, or what decisions you will make, they will stop valuing you over time. But if there is an element of mystery in your actions, if they are never entirely sure what you are thinking or what your next move will be, you become someone they must pay closer attention to. Why predictability lowers your value? Most people live their lives on autopilot, following the same patterns in relationships, friendships, and careers. When people know they can push you to a certain limit before you react, they stop respecting your boundaries. When they know you will always say yes, they stop appreciating your generosity. When they can predict that you will always be available, they stop valuing your presence. Predictability creates an illusion of control. When someone thinks they can predict your behavior, they feel they have control over you. But when you introduce an element of unpredictability, you disrupt that illusion. Suddenly they realize they don't fully know you, and that makes them take you more seriously. This doesn't mean you should be erratic or unreliable. It simply means you should not be an open book that anyone can read at a glance. The more people feel like they have to work to understand you, the more valuable you become in their eyes. Ways to master unpredictability. Change your responses. If you always react the same way to situations, people will assume they know exactly how to handle you. But what happens when you do the unexpected? Instead of arguing back when someone tries to provoke you, you smile and walk away. Instead of explaining yourself when someone questions your choices, you simply say, "You'll see." When you don't give people the reactions they expect, they start paying closer attention to you. Keep some things private. The more people know about you, the more predictable you become. Mystery is not about deception, it is about selectivity. When you keep parts of your life, thoughts, and plans private, people become more intrigued by you. They wonder what you're thinking, what you're planning, and what drives you. That intrigue increases your value in their minds. Surprise people with your actions. If people always assume you will take the easy road, take the difficult one. If they expect you to follow the crowd, carve your own path. If they assume you will tolerate poor treatment, walk away without explanation. When you do things that contradict their expectations, you force them to respect you more. Control the information you share. Not everyone deserves access to your thoughts and emotions. Oversharing makes you predictable because it gives people a blueprint of how to handle you. If they know every fear, every weakness, and every dream you have, they know exactly how to manipulate or take you for granted. But when you reveal only what is necessary, keeping the rest to yourself, people must work to understand you. And that effort makes you more valuable. Master the art of leaving people wanting more. Have you ever been in a conversation with someone who reveals just enough to be interesting, but not enough to be completely understood? Those are the people who leave a lasting impact. They don't flood the conversation with every detail of their lives. Instead, they offer glimpses, leaving others curious. This principle applies to every area of life, whether in friendships, relationships, or professional settings. Unpredictability in relationships. One of the biggest mistakes people make in relationships, whether romantic, professional, or social, is becoming too predictable. If someone knows you will always be available, they may start taking you for granted. But when they are unsure whether you will say yes or no, whether you will show up or not, they will appreciate your presence more. Think about it. People value what they might lose more than what they assume will always be there. If you are too predictable in a relationship, the other person may start seeing you as a constant, something they don't need to put effort into. But when there is an element of unpredictability, they stay engaged, intrigued, and invested. This doesn't mean playing mind games. It simply means not being overly available, not responding in the exact same way every time, and not letting people assume they fully understand you. Unpredictability in leadership and influence. The most respected leaders and influential figures are not the ones who always do what is expected of them. They are the ones who surprise people with their decisions, who think outside the box, and who make unpredictable but wise moves. If you want to be taken seriously in any area of life, whether in business, leadership, or personal relationships, you must learn to be unpredictable in a way that keeps people on their toes. When people cannot easily anticipate your next move, they watch you more closely, listen more carefully, and value you more deeply. People lose interest in what they can predict. They value what they cannot fully understand. The moment someone thinks they completely know you is the moment they start taking you for granted. But when they realize there is always more to you, more to learn, more to understand, more layers they have yet to uncover, you become someone they truly value. The key is balance. Too much unpredictability can make you seem unreliable, but just the right amount makes you magnetic. When you become someone who is not easily figured out, people will respect you, admire you, and most importantly, never take you for granted.